Yeah. Knowledge. Loud. Came with a couple of questions. I am suggesting the obvious. Make you ingest my vernacular. Master of all my abilities. Acrobatic back and forth. I'm liking that. Mr. Go and get it. Get the gab. I got it. I'm combative.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another day on the channel. It's Sunday. It's a cushy wee 10:30 in the morning. It's not that great a day, as you can see. We're looking forward to a bit of pishy rain and a bit of ceiling noise, but hopefully we'll get through it. So, as for the turd, the car is not anywhere closer than it was last week. Unfortunately, with the new job, it's a lot to take on, having another career change, especially after going from one huge career change to another. So it's a bit of adapting that I have to get used to. As of Monday, I should be coming down here as often as possible, because on the 18th the car goes away. Again, not gonna say where or why, but today is, I think, the 12th or the 13th. I'm not 100% sure, I can't remember. I've got less than a week at this point, and the car, I mean, sure, it almost works, if you want to put it that way. The engine doesn't want to idle for some reason, and I still haven't figured out as to what the crack is with that. But if I don't figure it out, sure as hell the other boy will. But I did, however, manage to get the new parts. The last time that we were doing the brake system, obviously at the very end, I had managed to cock up and completely forget to put the front calipers back onto the front brakes, which meant that the pistons didn't have anything to hold on to, so they just kept on pushing and pushing to the point that they slid out. Or at least one of them did. I haven't actually checked the other one, to be fair. Let's just go and do that right now. Okay, so it started coming out, but it's nowhere near out like the other one. So I went and tried to put the piston back in, and the seal around it wasn't seating properly. So the dumbass that I am, I used a small screwdriver flathead to try and push it back in, and obviously it went through the seal and burst it, which would have meant that all brake fluid that was coming through it would just pish out, and no one wants a pishy brake system. So I've already went through that, and it wasn't a great time. The plan today is to get this caliper piston system back in, or at least get a new one in. I did also buy a Boss kit, if you'd seen on my social media, from the company KD Customs, which is brilliant, because it's always good to have a good name like KD Customs to be able to buy parts from. So very thankful for that. The plan of attack today: piston and finishing up the brake system, because obviously I got really close last time and we're pretty much set up. It was to the point where we were bleeding it, but as well as doing the caliper, I kind of want to get to, I rewatched the video obviously, and I mean, the thing is that T-pipe doesn't actually need to be in there. Those two pipes can actually get made into very longer pipes to actually manage to get to the... I'll need to double check, basically, because I'm pretty sure I can make it much easier and save myself a T-fitting, which would mean that I would have one for the hydraulic handbrake. The problem with the car going away is that obviously I'm not completely finished on the car, and where it's going, I don't expect them to do all the work for me. I do still have to get the dual caliper bracket, which should be here in about maybe a week from Wednesday, maybe, which will be maybe the 22nd, 3rd, 5th or something. In that ball area, I'll be able to get it, and the thing is I'll still have 5 days to be able to prep the car to go to the practice day. So we're looking good in that aspect, and the only problem that I'll have is a bucket seat, a steering wheel, and the non-idling engine. But other than that, we're looking great. So I'm just gonna finish up the brake lines, see if I can make them a wee bit more finessed, plumb up the calipers, It is actually a vented disc. This would tend to suggest that Rennie was kind of always right, which obviously the vented rear disc is the standard for this car. So, and the fronts kind of prove that, which is great. So I'm gonna get on with this, gonna get dressed, and we're gonna go. See you in a hot sec. So, after a wee bit of investigating, it's safe to say that I've actually figured out that these are non-capable of actually going onto the hub. Just have to give it a knock with a hammer or a mallet or whatever and impact them on pretty much, because as it turns out they just come like that. So I'll need to dig out the steering wheel. Actually, is it in the car? Probably not. I'm not that lucky. Oh no, it is. Holy hell, that's the original. Out with the old, in with the new. So, as you might have seen in my previous video, I did do this steering wheel myself. So as you can see, black base with some, it actually looks like the same kind of color that's on these wheels, which is pretty mad. That's pretty cool. The only reason that it started like chipping, it's not perfect obviously, but it does mean that we do actually neighbours with some sheep that they're doing just over there. So I'll have that disturbance and stopping and starting today, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'll officially have a new boss kit sitting inside the car with the steering wheel, and it comes with all the fittings that I'll need for it, so it's just a case of plumbing it in and getting on with it. Turns out the two rectangular bits just go over that pin and then get it over so it all lines up, and then it's going to be a banging day today, like. Oh, and I have looked underneath. One of the fittings has had a minor leak, as you can see right there, from the T-pipe fitting, but the rest of it all looks pretty good. There's no other leaks that are really obvious. The only one that's coming from it is this one, but that was actually done from the caliper last video, so that doesn't really matter, and obviously that, which is the So I have looked into it, and I'm gonna put two straight pipes coming from the T. It means that I'll be able to delete both T-pipes, so I've got spare ones, which is gonna be great because I need that for the hydraulic handbrake, which will be going pretty sure here. So another caliper van line, T-pipe up to the hydraulic handbrake, and she's golden. I'll end up just taking a T-pipe from here and splitting them out, one to the left or one to the right, coming all the way up and into the hydraulic handbrake. And dumbass himself managed to think that the factory lines were separate sizes from the copper lines that I have. As it turns out, not the case. I'm just an idiot and had it on the wrong size fitting for flaring the kit. So I've just spent the last 15 minutes wasting my time. Anyway, not far off it, most halfway there pretty much. It's just a case of fitting all the flares up, fitting all the fittings in, and that's about it. So, got the two T-pipes out. As it turns out, completely unnecessary. If I was still running the standard handbrake, or if I was trying to plumb in the hydraulic handbrake to the back calipers from the original setup, then sure, but I'm trying to simplify everything, and at some point or another I do want to get a reservoir to be able to change the settings for the brakes so I can have a certain percentage going to the fronts and the rears for just manual braking, not hydro. So that's pretty much the plan for that. As I said, we're halfway there. T-pipes are all out, just need to put all the lines in, fittings up, and after finishing that we'll move on to doing the piston kit. We'll get all that done for the front caliper. I'm gonna get that finished and move on to bleeding the brake system and hope I just have to get the rest of my copper pipe, measure out to the little cut-out lines and cut 2 new pipes, and then put new fittings into them, and we'll be laughing. And then that'll be a good time. Get them bled, it'll be great. Not forget caliper this time. So, aye, let's go. Okay, so now that I've cut up both the lines, one for the left, one for the right, all the fittings on, boom boom, all the fittings on, boom boom. So it's just a case of sticking these under and getting the calipers back on, bleed the brakes, and hope to God that all the fittings are both, one, the right size and flared enough, because either one could make this leak like a mother ducker. But I don't know if you can see that. I don't think that's going to have much of a problem. I've always got the shakes, I'm sorry. Anyway, hopefully all my fittings should be kind of good and all my flares should be alright. I feel like I probably should double flare a lot of them, but I'm hoping that they should be able to clamp down hard enough that actually we'll just fit it under the car and we'll just go from there. See how the brakes flow. This caliper being, well, caliper piston being all the way out of its usual mounting point or seating point. The reason that I've got it completely out of the car is because there's absolutely no pressure stopping this piston from going in, so all the fluid that would normally go inwards and push the piston out, there's no backlash, or there's nothing keeping it from just getting pushed out rather than all the pressure being in it. This is going to make a big mess. I'm not really bothered by it, but... And that's how the piston is meant to look. Oh, there's that mess that I was talking about though. Here we go. Now, all we have to do is just take the other caliper off on that side. Do exactly the same thing to it, except put the new kit into it anyway, and she'll be laughing. Just need to make sure that we do it in this area. The only other problem that I have now is the fact that I don't know how I managed it, but I managed to lose one of the caliper bracket bolts for the passenger side, which is a bit of a bummer because none of the other calipers that I've got are for fronts. They're all for rears, which means that all the caliper bracket bolt sizes are all different. Those are all the same, the front ones are different, or a different size anyway. So, a bit of a bummer, but it doesn't really matter. I don't particularly need it. I just need the one to hold the bracket on, just for the time being, just to get the brakes bled and for this thing to be finally on the ground. So, take the other caliper off, do exactly the same process, except kind of take all this and take all that and stick it in the new one. So, we're laughing. So, pretty much with everything that has happened on this car, there was a minor mishap that I managed to not fix, but fuck it. So I was having struggle with getting the seal over the piston to go into the caliper, and went a wee bit too hard, and I don't know if you can see that. Not hard to see, but yeah, I kind of ripped it. And this is the brand new one. Fortunately, the only reason that I was changing the old one was because I put a tiny prick in it, and I'm living in the high hope that that tiny prick won't leak, but there's a tiny prick in it nonetheless. I'm hoping that with enough seal it will be able to hold down fluid and not leak. But then again, it's kind of a give or take at this point. Sure as hell it was looking a hell of a lot better than this one now, but yeah, one of those unfortunate things. I still haven't managed to find the other caliper bracket bolt, which is sound, because this is just a test to see if the rear brakes work. We just needed to get them mounted up, and they are. So all the calipers back together just for the time being, and all also on the other side. So we're no skipping any steps today, boys and girls. In that, this is a caliper without a bracket, but I think I've tightened it hard enough that it shouldn't move. But regardless, it doesn't matter because we're getting to this today. So I've got a wee kit that'll help with the brakes. So I'm gonna plumb that all in, get a tire, get some air, and start pushing all the fluid through. And hope that everything goes well. I need to find a tire over there in it first. To be fair, oh, I've just noticed that's all dry rotted to motherfucker. So that'll probably be the reason why it doesn't run up over there. Not all these tires have got bad air though. So I'm gonna find a tire with air in it. I'm gonna get set up and we're gonna get this brake system bled. Oh no. Well, it's just not going to be enough, is it? Which is a bit of a nuisance. Go and get brake fluid. That should be about it. But until that, I'm going to move on to the steering wheel because might as well get a second finish today. Personally, I feel like it'd be quite nice to actually be able to say that something's finished on this car. I don't know if I'm speaking out of anyone else here, but certainly for myself, it's a bit of a minor. We do have plenty of other things to do. At least I know for a fact that that is literally one thing that needs to get done, which is my brake fluid. I might be able to buy some at the local shop, I doubt it, but there's no harm in trying, I guess, at this point. So I'm going to move on to the boss kit and finally say that there is a steering wheel actually in this car. The only thing I'm not 100% sure of is where I left the bolt to go into the steering column, which is a bit of a bummer. I'm sure it won't be too far because I'm not that silly. I'm gonna start looking. So, with the fact that the boss kit is not necessarily really wanting to go on willfully, I think we're just gonna nail it in and see how far we go, or see how well we get. So long as it's done. I did find the bolt, by the way. It was inside the car, fortunately, which is a surprise. All things considered, that's not normally how my luck goes. As an example, with the caliper and the brake fluid. Anyway, so just gonna hit and hope and pray that this will eventually go on. I know that it will, but it's just a case of getting it to go on. It does want to slip on, but not properly. Let's start. At least start, that should go. Oh no, yep, you're gonna still want to fall, aren't you? See, when I hit this with a hammer, guaranteed you're gonna fall. But we'll see how we go. The only thing is that I'll just need to keep doing this until the point that I can get a thread on the bolt, and when I can get a thread on the bolt, I can impact it on. I actually think that's relatively on. Look at that, I'm getting threads, that's great. That's a good sign. That just means that the boss kit is on enough to the point that I can just use an impact, get it on. Size. Right, let's go to town. See, I knew it wouldn't be long before you were on good arse. Hey. 400 newtons. So, one more for good measure. That's done. It's a huge bonus to say that it's done, because now I have a way of steering. Once I get an alignment on that, I'll make sure that the steering wheel is straight now, so it's all good. The steering wheel might not be straight anyway, but regardless, it doesn't matter. And we're here. Are you gonna brighten up? Nope, because you're almost dead. That's sound by me. 1 out of 6. On. Weird, no, this is a very uncomfortable seating position. I'm just gonna say. Hey. I'll cut to a point where this is all in and take a closer look once it's done. Okay, so we have finally finished the steering. Safe to say it wasn't too difficult, but finally got an aftermarket steering wheel. Safe to say it'll be in there for probably the duration that I have this car anyway. So with that being on, that's one less headache to worry about. So with the steering wheel being on, finally, I can safely say that's ticked off the box. Only thing left that I need to do is just actually test the brake system, or at least test to see if... Do you know what? We're just going to do this anyway. I don't have all the fluid in the world, but the thing is that the fluid that I do have will actually make a contribution to being able to tell me if the brake system is actually fully assembled or if it's not. There will be a lot of air going into the system, but the thing is that at this point we'll re-bleed the brake system. Whoa, why are you doing that? Hold on, let's get this thing set up proper. That's probably as close as we're going to get to being able to test. Well, as I've said, because I don't have any fluid to fill up the overflow, unfortunately that's kind of all I can do with that at the moment, but just what I can see though, it doesn't seem like there's any leaks, but obviously that'll only tell, having as much fluid as I do in it, it won't really tell me until I actually have it full. So that's kind of where we are now. Just need more brake fluid. So went to the local garage just across the road, and as it turns out, they probably have almost everything that I could possibly need for this thing. A lot of the little service liquids and that, which is a huge bonus, including oils, which is amazing because I have no idea how much this has got, and I will need to check before it leaves this place. So, round 2, to see if this brake fluid stays in the car. Don't want to flood it everywhere. That sound. Might be a minute. After not a lot of time, we're going to try that again. See if that's better. But I don't have much pressure that they can. There we go. All I have to do is just go around each individual caliper, snap the nipple, have some air, have some fluid come out of it for long enough duration. Actually, I'm not even going to use that because that's manky as hell. If there was ever a person to lose anything, everything that he possibly has, it's this guy. He's shit as hell every single time. I'll lose something. I won't be collecting any fluids anyway, but at least I'll be able to bleed the brakes, which is the whole point of doing this aspect. So, living in the high hope. It turns out they're not all the same size. The fronts will be okay. Don't know if you can see that. Oh, squirting like that at me. Is there any other leaks? I don't see any. Definitely could have caught that. Right, and Jesus! Where's your bottle now? You've lost it again. Wonderful. Oh, there it is. Lovely. Jeez, Louise mac and cheese. Okay, correct. I see a leak outside. Could just be the fact that it's not taken down properly. But no, that's out. That's one leak. I'm going to see if I can fix this little fitting from leaking and then move on from there and do the rest of the brakes, and then that's it done. Brake fluid is the worst thing ever worked on. How you put it, It's always the worst thing in the world. So unfortunately, there is one fitting that isn't done properly. Just the one, which is a huge bonus, considering how much misery I went through just to get as far as I did with it. But the thing is that I know for the fact that there's brake fluid going to the rear, which is a lot more than I could say. One, at the Highland Surrey, and two, since I brought the car home. So in one regard, a lot of progress. In another, not so much. But I am a bit hard on myself at times, and I know I am, which is kind of standard, I guess. But thing is that, as I say, there is brake fluid going to the rear, there is brake fluid going to the front, and actually, no, it's just my flaring, it's safe to say. Fittings are exactly the same ones that I bought from the kit. I think at this point we're going to call it here. There's been a lot of progress made that I'm really happy with. I got the lines simplified more so than I did before. Got the T-joints out, it means I've definitely got some for when the hydro goes in, which is going to be grand. And the brake lines are pretty much done. Managed to get a boss kit on the car, managed to get a new steering wheel in it. Only thing left is the caliper brackets and a bucket seat. And then I think that's pretty much it. I'll be recording pretty much every day this week, I think. I'm coming down here, making some more progress, come back down on Monday, tomorrow, and redo those lines, or at least redo those fittings, redo the flare. Good progress made. Boss kit in, brakes pretty much done, just need bled. Looking a lot better than what I did, so I can't argue with that. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you like the video, please by all means like it. Comment on how much I'm sad. And subscribe, obviously, because you'd be kept updated with all the little things that I do. It'd be really appreciated. But for the time being, I'm gonna go home, chill out, wait till tomorrow for another beautiful day, and get to work. 6 a.m. But 2 o'clock, I'll be back here recording. So, looking forward to it already. I'll see you guys then. Peace.